Welcome to the 5-Year Plan podcast.
Thank you for joining us.
We are stoked to be doing a little, just the two of us introduction before we bring on our guest, which is a real treat. We've got a treat for everyone today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we're not going to tell you who yet. We're going to sort of play hard to get with who our guest is.
Can I give them a clue?
Yeah, give them a clue.
Think radio, think Brisbane, think stand-up comedy. One of the most amazing MCs that I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, excellent. Seconded. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Seconded is a funny word.
Is it the right word?
I think it is a word, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone use it before.
Seconded.
You nailed it.
I feel like it's in a meeting, when you're like, someone says something and then you can second it.
Yeah. No, I like it. I'm probably going to use it.
Okay.
Second that.
As long as you say my name after every time, like seconded, always a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I need. Cody, you're wearing a shockingly fun shirt today.
Thank you so much. I like it, but...
Can you describe it to anyone that's not watching?
Blue and white shapes.
And you left out the most important colour, purple. I'm liking the purple in it. Or the lilac. Would you call that more of a lilac?
I've really liked this shirt until I don't know what lilac is.
I think it's a type of purple.
Okay.
A breed of purple.
Someone pointed out to me that the shapes swirl around and meet where my nipple sits. So that's made me stop wearing the shirt so much.
Well, I think that is I don't want to tell you you're wrong, but I think that's not a good enough reason to stop wearing that shirt because the colours suit you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very nice of you.
Big shirt fan.
I went with Pattern and Pattern today, which is, I came from a 3-year-old birthday party.
Oh, how was that?
Incredible.
Were the vibes good?
Yeah, it was really like a small group, which I'm loving.
Yeah.
I keep making the mistake whenever I do something, I ask too many people.
Oh, and that makes it hard because then you can't have one big conversation.
Yeah.
You split into little groups.
Or you can't connect with people.
Totally.
So you end up just saying hi and bye to people, which is a horrible experience.
Yeah, and then I always leave that and then the whole way home think of all the people that I didn't give enough time to.
Yep.
And then,
That's very considerate. I just think I didn't have fun today.
Oh.
And then...
That's probably a more healthy way to think about it.
Very selfish way of looking at it.
No, I think that's healthier.
I remember for my engagement party, we had over 100 people there. And I remember thinking...
That's a lot of people.
But it was a good lesson to learn because for our wedding, we were much more specific with the invitations.
But how did you do that? So then did you go thank you for coming to our engagement party. We'll tell you how the wedding is.
I don't think people that get invited to the engagement party, I don't think they assume that they're also invited to the wedding.
Actually, you're right. I've been invited to engagement parties before and not the wedding.
Yeah.
And in fact, I only cried to sleep twice about that. So I guess I'm fine.
If anything as well, it puts people on alert like, hey, you want to get invited to the wedding? What do you got?
Step up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was good. Our wedding day was just special and it was a beautiful amount of people and it was really, really nice.
That's beautiful. How long have you been married now?
I do not know.
Oh, this is...
I reckon 4 or 5 years.
Just move your mouth in a way like say colourful and we'll put the words in. Yeah. Okay, good. Oh, that's an interesting amount of years. Good. Yeah.
My wife just texts me, what time are you home?
Oh.
I don't know.
Well, we got a whole podcast to do now, so we've got to quickly get to it.
Yeah. So how's your week been?
Week's been good. I did a bit of improv this week at Big Fork Theatre. Shout out to Big Fork Theatre. I had a real blast there.
Yeah.
I've been doing more stand-up lately than improv, and it was just a real playful treat to go and do silly things.
Any shows in particular you enjoyed?
Well, I did this show called, not to date the podcast, but it was called The Big Fun Show, which happens regularly at Big Fork Theatre, and it's a premise-based improv show. And it was just a treat. It was just fun and silly and I just had a really great time. And I feel bad about this, but I'd worked all day. I'd had to work a Saturday for my day job. So I was exhausted. I was going there thinking I want to go to bed. I'm going to be up so late. And then had just the best time.
Yeah, nice. So you're on a high afterwards?
I was on a high afterwards.
How good.
Yeah, thank you. And then I did finally get a lot of sleep, which is what I needed. I slept until 9 o'clock this morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, sorry to say that to a parent. That was mean.
Yeah. And so I've done the 2-day Welcome to Improv course.
Oh, okay.
But coming from someone that hasn't done a lot of that, I would have so much anxiety doing improv regularly.
Yeah.
Do you have any of that?
No, I have more anxiety when I haven't done improv for a while and I worry that that brain pathway's not there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because when I've been doing normally more stand-up than improv and then I go to do improv, I'll accidentally try and do stand-up things. Not like my jokes, but instead of really getting into the improv and doing it technically right, I'll put I'll make pun jokes and stuff, which isn't really good.
Yep.
And
it's a crutch.
It's a real crutch, and all the other improvisers don't like it either.
Yeah, sure.
Because they're like, oh, that was a bit stand up.
Yeah.
But last night I didn't really do that. I
love the idea of you taking that as a compliment and being like, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for. I was going to have to talk about the fact that I did stand up, but thanks for bringing it up organically. But yeah, no. I definitely did at the start.
Yep.
But now I think about 5 years I've been doing improv, and it's just like a playground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do you do? How much actually improv do you do when you're doing stand-up? Do you do much crowd interaction at all?
No, I don't do heaps of crowd interaction actually because I'm scared of people. Yeah.
And that doesn't apply to you for improv?
No, because they don't really get in. Well, I mean, yell out to get a word. Sure. I think where it does help in my stand-up is that I'll try other tags if I think about them while I'm on stage. In the moment, very happy to pivot and try something else.
That's very cool. Yeah. The comfortability.
Yeah, but then I still don't really like talking to people because sometimes the crowd are mean at stand-up places and they might. Yeah, just the other day actually I had someone that said, I was standing on stage at Good Chat and I said something about I need you to like me, which is just my general vibe in the world. And he just, in the front row, said it loud enough so everyone heard, so I had to address it, was like, I don't.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I just made a joke of it and was like, you will.
Yeah, nice.
But inside, I died a little bit.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And people would have laughed when you said, I will.
They did. And then every time he kind of chuckled at something, I was like, I got ya.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. That's funny. I'm trying to think what my worst heckle was. I think I did John Peacock's Northern New South Wales
that's fun,
competition. It was back when it was like $1,000 prize for the winner.
That's,
I won.
Did you? What'd you spend $1,000 on?
I don't know. Probably
that
flights.
shirt?
Flights to more gigs, probably.
Yeah, good on you.
But
reinvest.
I remember during that competition, someone shouted out, "You're a fat Tom Gleeson." And at the time, I took that as a compliment.
Well, I think it is a compliment in most ways, but what a way to say it.
Yeah. Yep.
So it didn't rattle you while you were doing it?
No, I laughed and the audience laughed, and it was probably the funniest thing that was said that night.
That's good.
But no, as I was driving home, I'm like, oh, actually, that's layered.
That person was being mean. Do you know, actually, not in stand-up, in my real life, I've got a friend, friend or part family member that often tells me, and this is quite a few years ago, that like, I'm just like Rebel Wilson. She's way hotter, but.
Oh, sorry.
So like,
someone said that to you?
Yeah, no, they said that in my real life and quite a few times.
That's funny.
I did think it was funny too, actually.
As you said that, I was just thinking, I can hear a little bit of Rebel Wilson in your voice.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I'll take it neutral. She is hilarious. Yeah, I was a big Rebel fan. She lost me a little bit during COVID.
Sure.
Yeah, because she kept going on private jets, and I was like, read the room.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I guess we're all other people just dressed up.
I am so excited for this podcast today.
Yeah, we better just jump into it.
Yeah.
So please enjoy our surprise guest.
Plan.
Goodbye.
Time starts.
All right. Welcome to the 5-Year Plan podcast. We have a real treat for you today, don't we, Cody?
We do. It's one of my favourite comedians. Oh. They also act.
They do.
They also produce.
He does.
They run an incredible theatre company.
She does.
Welcome, Terry Hanson, to the 5-Year Plan.
Yay! General clapping. That singular clap was actually the same reaction I got last time I was down here at the Sit Down Comedy Club. But
that's only because I wasn't there watching, or Cody, because if we were there, we would have got cheers.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I get any more sycophantic sucking up, I'll be Donald Trump. But thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. And the intriguing name of 5-Year Plan, I warn you at the start, as I raise my children, I usually get up all of my life before the rest of the family. But yes. they wake up to see Dad with a diary or a roadmap in front of them. They just bolt. They go, pretend to be back asleep. Don't get near him. He's planning. Don't go near him. He's planning. Don't go near him. He's planning.
It looks
Do you just
very,
like to... Sorry.
No, yeah, it looks very impressive. We were lucky enough to see the photo of this plan. It was colour-coded. It was so set out.
Yeah.
And do you just like to tell your kids or you like to involve them?
Yeah. I said, just please sit down. Just tell me what it is you've got, soccer plans, this, that are coming in the next little while. Because, let's dive in. Planning. I find when I'm planning, I go and ask for all the different things that might affect what you want to do. And I call them tangents, not in some sort of levels of the earth, but just the different tangents things might come in on.
Yes.
And with a lot of people, if you try to say, oh, we could do that, but we can't because it's a Sunday. Oh, we could do this, but we can't because of the colour of your hair. We could do this. if you leave tangents alone on their own, like say, I just say, when are you available? You've got this and this and this and this and this. Great. Okay, great. It doesn't sound promising, but I know those dates. What's the thing you most want to do? Well, I don't want to do it. Yeah, not the thing you don't want to do. What do you most want to do? Well, to tell you the truth, I'd really like to go. I love it when we went to the beach. Okay. What about that time of year and skiing and stuff? If we went, not so much, but I'd just hanging out together. Okay. So you get all these tangents and you find all the positives from, so they'll be asked the questions. You give me a bit of information, then I'll go back and I'll find where those tangents meet. And I'll come back and say, how about this? You'd like to do this. You'd like to do that. You'd like to do the other thing. We don't want to miss out on this event for yours, so let's not try and go away for our holidays. Let's miles away. Let's go up to Alexandra Headlands, go to the beach there for a week. By the way, you want to do this, you can go up to Montville and do that. And all these things will come together with the plan. But I'll do the planning, and all I'm asking of you and my kids or my wife are just give me a bit of information and away I'll go.
That sounds incredibly healthy.
Yeah.
Has it always been that way? When you were in radio, you were always the planner?
Notorious planner.
Yeah.
In the nerdiest of ways, I found out if you took the average spirally notebook and you fold it into 4 each page, so you've got columns to work with, on the left-hand column, if you wrote down where each of the breaks are in the show, and there's about 3 or 4 in each half hour, down the side of the page, and then put in the spots where you might be doing things after show, you would exactly to the line fill up the page of a spirally notebook. And I could fill that out and go, okay, at 5:40 we're doing this and this and this. So then the next column would be what it is, column after that would be why it is, and the column after that would have, do I need any audio or something where I need to run to some poor sound engineer like my mate Greggy and say, Greg, mate, I need a sound of a pig and a dog going woof, and then I run out of the room again. So
how long did it take them to find these?
Greg said there's a special sort of code and there's a special sort of language.
Yep.
And there's a special station out there where you can get funding to understand Terry. But
were you always like this in school? You were super organised?
No, I was actually super lost.
Yeah.
All the
Really?
time.
Because
yeah.
when you talk about organisation, there is a spark that comes out of your eyes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you know what it is? And I think it started, when I left school, I worked for a law firm for a year and I never ever should have.
Okay.
And I sat in this corner office going, what have I done? I'm here on a job supposed to last 5 years. I'm enrolled in a degree that's supposed to last 5 years, and I clearly don't want to do this. And I looked out the window at sunny days outside and said, I've got to rethink this. And I said, the one thing I know is that I'd rather be out there. So since about that time, I consistently worked on what is it that keeps you outside? What is it that keeps you in your happy place? What is it that avoids regret?
Yeah.
Which is very, very big, especially with the males in my family. Avoid regret. You don't become a good person if you got regret in my family. So I probably from that time I was starting to piece it together and say, where's my happy place? What are the things that? But again, I couldn't find the whole thing. I left that job and I knew I liked work, but I didn't know what work, so I needed a job that would carry me through, that had an agenda, had a way of building you towards success or a career.
Yes.
Built into it.
Yeah.
So I think I wrote to the 6 biggest companies I knew and said, do you take clerks? Do you take trainees? Do you take this stuff? And ended up working for Elders.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because a mate
Real
did.
estate?
No, Elders cattle auctioneers.
Oh.
So I ended up in Western Queensland because they took you through the cattle yard and cattle auctioneering. They took you through the merchandising store. They took you through the accounts department, which they loved me because they had a lot of cowcockies who could ride horses and stop cattle, but no one who could add up.
Yes, okay.
So they had all these different aspects towards training, and it was outdoors. It was 500 kilometres outdoors, but it had a structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, it started to build itself from there.
Were you an auctioneer? You would have been an incredible auctioneer.
Because I talk so much and talk so fast. I was a cattle auctioneer's clerk. So when the auctioneer's up there going, hubba hubba, you've got a guy over to the side and the spotters. And the auctioneer just keeps the patter going and the spotters, yes, 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 yes. And each time you hear a yes, you go up. So if you go yes, and I'll auctioneer at you, okay? So the price of beef this week is going to be 72.2. The minute you see a bid, just go yes. 72.2, you just say yes?
Yes.
So 74, 4 bid, 74 to bid, 74. Anyone else got a bid? Everyone got a bid? Yes, 46 to the bid, 46, 746, 746, 748, 74.9, going to knock it down.
Yes,
80, 75 got a bid. It went up by 5 cents. That was terrible. $80 got a bid, $80 one time.
82.
0.2. Come on, I'm going to knock it down now. 0.2. Well, you're going to up the market. Look at you. So basically, you're hopping along with the bid, and it goes up that way. And I've just yelled it out and blown the microphones, but that's all right. And now I just use that for charity gigs.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just a little bit of auctioneering for that, which is fun.
Yeah.
And you get lots of gags.
So how did they first let you up there to auction? Did you have to prove yourself first, or they just threw you in the deep end?
It was awful. They did. The bulls are the last to be sold.
Yes.
They're always in ones and twos.
Yeah.
And singles. So it's a single price. And you're so nervous that I'm hopping along like that for whatever it was, and more coherently in less than a day. And you're getting into, there's be a fly-blown pizzle on the bull. Let's call him Stumpy and off we go. All this sort of stuff. Jokes about the cow and the bull. But there are only two guys there, and I'm going, 70.2, 0.4, and they're just down there with their smokes, and they say, oh, come on, matey, it's just a bull, come on. I'll give you $100 if you give it to me now. We'll just put ourselves out of this misery.
And that's how you lost your job at Elf?
That's how I lost my job at Elf. Yeah. But eventually you get the patter and you get into it, and away you go. So
the podcast, Terry, is mostly about what's next.
Yeah.
What's to come. But can you give us a little bit of a brief kind of, what's happened in the past? You've been in radio, which I'm sure a lot of people are aware of.
Yeah.
You've been doing stand-up comedy for...
40, well, actually, I think at the end of last year, it hit a beautiful synchronicity. 40 years of stand-up, 30 years of corporate, 20 years of radio. I was in radio for most of a 20-year period. And again, for 10 years, I produced children's theatre before I was in radio, but now I've gone back to that. So it's been we used to call it the 6-lane highway of how performers make their living. I might be doing something that's comic or corporate in red in my little planner. I might be doing something in theatre in blue. In theatre, usually you get paid for while you're doing it. You don't get paid for while you're planning it. So I had a career spanning that, and in that 20-year period in radio, it's pretty hard to do anything else. But when I left radio, as I said on my last show, I'm solidly returning to theatre. It's
so funny though, because I reckon from the naive perspective of myself, so many comedians would go, it's 3 or 4 hours in the morning.
Off you go.
So what's their biggest downside to it?
Oh, meetings are horrendous.
Yeah.
Greg Sullivan.
HR.
Yeah. No. Once or twice. But they were wrong.
We always are.
I think Greg Sullivan described it beautifully a few years ago when he was at the M's, and he said, Ray, it's not a bad job. I get up in the morning and I spend 3 hours. How can we 3 hours just spending time with people who I consider my good friends, and we think it's a pretty good time. Then we all get called into this bloke's office, and he yells at us for about another 3 hours, and he says we're crap and we didn't have a good time. By the end of it, he's right. So there's a lot of meetings. They're big, long days.
Yep.
Very honest job.
Yeah.
Very honest job. And you gotta play your connection with the audience. You've got to totally be about the audience that you're serving and about their lives and about reflecting their lives. And that's your measurement stick. When you've got 14 people in a circle trying to decide if something's right or wrong. And as I've often said in meetings of 14 people, I said, you know the problem with a meeting with 14 people? It needs 14 reasons to be right and only one reason to be wrong. So that can be very tiring. But the radio job itself is a fantastic privilege because, as a comic, every morning, get up in the morning, you have the opportunity to interpret the city, which is, from a standing start, and especially if something's just happened. What did Anthony Murr, comedian friend, when I got the radio job, said, mate, okay, radio. Tell me, we're driving down to Gold Coast to the Arts Centre to do a gig. So I might be in radio. And he'd written for Today FM. And he said, mate, the great strength of radio for a comedian is it's 200 paid gigs before breakfast, every year. He said, to be funny is good. To be the first to be funny is everything. There's nothing more fun than listening to a drive show, chewing on the bone that you buried at 6 a.m. Yeah. The end. Sorry.
Oh, that is very good.
Has anyone ever asked you to rank, so your 4 things that you're doing, has anyone ever asked you to rank, what's your least favourite, your most favourite thing?
Well, I'm a live performer, so even in radio, it's the one medium I worked in where you don't see the audience.
Sure.
And most people who have been fans of the radio show will come and see me live and say, mate, why don't you just do that? Because I'm so happy in that space. I'm happy in front of a crowd. I think that's the only reason radio would come at the back. It's back of very, four things. Where there's a 4-step podium on that. They're all good jobs.
Yeah.
Stand-up, I've always been with. Stand-up as a building of all things, for sure. I forget where I made the 4th one.
I think you said corporate. I took that as a 4th.
Yeah. Corporate was pretty good for a time. I never did festivals and things like that because I travel with corporate.
Yeah.
But the downside as a comedian is you write to order. You have to write to what they want to hear about, but you're writing about their stuff. So you don't find yourself writing from your own self-expression. You're writing gags for the occasion. But theatre's still the number one. And I'm all my family are performers, and my wife's a real actress. I'm a performer who finds myself in different mediums. She's an actress who's an actress who's an actress who acts. That's what she does. And our kids are sort of a mixture of both those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be such a fun household.
Made of money.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. So did I actually answer any question at that point?
Yeah, that
very
was
diplomatically.
Thank you.
That was, and in an order too, with a structure and a rank. Incredible.
Wow. Are we finished?
No, we are just getting started. So I'm excited to ask you this because I can see the spark in your eye as you plan.
I do spark, don't I?
Terry Hanson.
Yes.
What is your 5-year plan?
Now, having left radio, well, I announced it right at the end of radio, and I'd sort of managed my way out of radio. As it turned out, Kip had just joined us initially, and I went, you know what, I want to go. But you can't do that to a new lineup.
Yes.
And so we had a talk of a fraught talk from a lovely program director saying, what if I go? So, I go, I am going. What if I go now? What if I go later? And we worked out another year. So I had this growing thing with where I go that I absolutely wanted to return to theatre.
Yes.
In the 90s, particularly, our company is called A Movable Theatre, based on Hemingway's A Movable Feast. But we actually, the premise of our company was purpose, performance and place. Yeah. So we always found the right place to perform any play. There's a purpose to why you put that play in that place. So it's not just like we're going to put a play on and see how we go. And the biggest outlet of that initially was children's theatre. So we had the 1830s sandstone cottage, was a cottage initially in the Rocks, which is now the Rocks Museum, to play with. So that was our initial space. So Fractured Fairy Tales were to go. One, you don't pay rights.
Oh, of course.
Which is great. And we were producing between there and sometimes the Opera House and later the Royal Botanic Gardens in Sydney. We were producing 40-minute, depending on the season, or 1 hour rhyming Fractured Fairy Tales for 10 years. Yeah. And that's what I'm doing now. That's what I'm moving towards now. Last 12... So how do you do that? How do you start a theatre company going again in 5 years? And it is in 5 years. One, you build on something that you've got. You build, and I've got probably a half dozen really rock solid, ready to go 1 hour children's shows, and I've got another 3 or 4 that could do with a bit of rewriting. So I build that. I use the radio that I've got. I put out a press release saying, and when I left, I said Terry Hanson is leaving radio to return to his first love, which is theatre. Yes. And that will be reiterated with the little Insta post from the radio station. Here I come. Here I come. And I'll be on stage in June this year, and the children's shows will follow fairly soon after. Excellent. And then usually it's like, oh, what will we do next? Well, because I'm working with the best of the body of what I've done, I pretty much have 3 to 5 years of high quality adaptations of literature for children and adults that'll cover the next 5 years. And what we want to do really very much is do them in outdoor spaces so we become an element of Brisbane. You know, I walk along from Kangaroo Point there down from under the Story Bridge, and you walk up towards Kangaroo Point Cliffs, and there's a series of little huts down there. Yeah. And I said, River Stories, I'm going to be doing it.
Yes.
We're going to, I shouldn't do this. Anyway, but yeah, I see that and I see, here's River Stories. Here's a walking tour that goes along and then has a piece of Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad about going up the Mekong. Yeah. And then it goes to another story somewhere else with an excerpt of a river. And we always involve food in the grown-up shows. Food, so you will have food that can only come from a river in those spaces. So this is my 5-year plan to develop this outdoor theatre space in Brisbane. I'm trying to do it. The kids shows I was trying to do for free by getting councils, and some of the big events are up for buying the shows, or very low cost, because you can't go out there, you know, in this environment with families and say, oh, here's something you really like, and it costs a fortune, you know. But it looks like a conversation I had with some people the other day. We sat there and stared at each other and came up with the same figure, low figure, and I said, rightio, and can you do a discount for families of 4? They went, Twitch? Yeah, okay. So watch this space.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
What a good thing for Brisbane.
Even where I live, I feel like that would be an amazing addition to the Moreton Bay Council. That would be so cool.
Well, out at Redlands Performing Arts Centre, I know out there that they're looking at an outdoor. I can say that because we've had the conversations. I know they're looking at an outdoor space as well. And by the way, when we're in the outdoor space, say Rumpelstiltskin arrives, and each time he disappears, he gives a different rhyme for where he goes to hide to say his name. And that rhyme for every show, for every venue, is tweaked and rewritten so you can follow the clues in the landscape around that venue. Yeah. So, so that's what we do. You know, that we customise it. You can't completely customise a 1-hour show, but there's stuff you can do. People love it. They go, oh.
Yeah.
Dad, how did they know there's a bridge called the Gateway? How did they know that? It's amazing.
Oh, that's excellent. What a good thing for families. Cody, you better clear your schedule.
I got a second kid on the way, so
all right, mate,
have 4 more audience members.
Well, the great news is with 4 you get the family discount.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for you.
All about discounts.
Yes.
Oh, you will be.
And so what about stand-up comedy? Have you got sort of ambitions with that in the next 5 years, or is that something you're sort of doing just in addition at the moment?
I think stand-up's always been the basis of all non-theatre things. Yeah, there's lots of, and I do feel that I used to come away from 12-show weeks, 6-day weeks, doing stand-up with the guys. They'll all be having a beer. Said, I can only have one. I've got to do stand-up tonight. And I said, what, are you crazy? I said, no, I can do it because stand-up's frontal lobe and the theatre's down in here. Not that I love stand-up, but I've always treated stand-up like a sport, and I was terrible at sport. I know you're a good swimmer, mate. No, sincerely, I was bad at sport, but I always showed up with my dirty boots and had a go. So similarly with my stand-up, I come down and I've got my bag of gags and I just want to have a play with the audience.
Yeah.
Last year, Julia and I were on the End of Radio tour and we were in London, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning in London, and I was standing outside the London Comedy Store where I'd had a brief open mic flittering like years before, and I just said to her, hang on. Oh, sorry for audience outside. Terry looks at his watch. I said, take a photo of me right now. No, we'll do it on the way back. No, right now. Bang. 40 years ago, exactly to this moment, I walked on stage at the Sydney Comedy Store. Wow. And I wondered at that time, I said, do I give it away? Do I give it a miss? But I hadn't thought that since I was turning 40. Should I stop distance running? It makes me stiff. Should I stop doing stand-up? 40, and someone at that time said, mate, why would you stop? Look at how many people can do this and make a living out of it. Why would you stop doing that? So when I came back, I purposely went round to a couple of the younger rooms, guilt-free, good chat. A few of the guys said, going on, we'll book you. I said, no, hang on. Let's see if our audiences are talking to each other. Now, we're at Newmarket on Monday. You would doubt that I was actually talking to that audience, but we'll see. But I went back and had a good time and said, there's no reason to stop. But I probably won't do anything bigger or bolder with stand-up. Just it'll be a thing and the theatre will be the main focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned sports. You brought up the fact that you weren't a sportsman, but I know for a fact that you're into boxing. You've done some long walks.
I've done some long, yeah.
More sporty than me.
Well, no. Well, it depends what. I played 21 seasons of football in 15 years.
Oh.
My parents were going to take me to drama classes as a kid because you would and you might, but I had an older brother and a younger brother. We lived out at Windsor, and they were driving both my brothers out to sign-on day for brothers, and on the way they would drop me at the drama classes.
So they knew early on.
No, at the Windsor Ballet School. No, I'm not. No, late 70s boy. No, I'm not going. I definitely should have gone. I didn't go. So now I got signed up for football, and I was horrendous. At one point, I was playing 3 codes for a chance to be on the field sometime on a weekend, and sometimes I wasn't. I'm talking seriously bad at football, But that was the expression back then. So, and then finally, after all that, out in Roma, out in the cattle yards, playing local footy, someone came out and said, "Hey, you're pretty chatty. They're doing a show. The Queensland Arts Council does shows and come out and rehearse it with. You could be in that, couldn't you?" And next thing you know, I went, "Oh, gee, I did like that. I should have gone to, 15 years ago, I should have gone to drama classes possibly."
Wow, so that was your first sort of acting experience there? You didn't delve into it before then?
No.
Roma, it's always the arts capital of...
Yeah.
How old would you have been then?
20.
20?
Yeah. Or maybe 1920. Yeah, not in 1920. I'll be 20 years old.
To a ghost?
Sorry, just about. There was a Gilbert Spotterswood put on the Italian straw hat, and I wasn't going to get a part because I was pretty yobbish. And then the after party happened, but I knew the town really well, and he saw me operating at the after party, and amongst my mates said, "Oh, that's the guy. He's the one that we need a bloke who's going to get into trouble. It's clearly him."
Yeah, so you could talk the talk even before stand-up.
Well, I was talking a talk. I do remember I had to go canoodling with the lady who ran the haberdashery shop.
Okay.
Canoodling behind the French doors, which you could see right through, and a very large, aggressive husband would sit in the seat right in front of us and just keep his eye on me. My eyes and on my hands.
Yeah.
Careful what you do there. And you could hear her out the side of her mouth going, "Oh, Barry, for God's sake." Yeah.
And so back to the boxing and the
Sorry.
walking. Have you got any sort of ambitions for your health, or in the next 5 years? Are you thinking any big goals
Get fit? Yeah.
Some of the climbs or the walks that you've done, the hikes, and
yeah, I think the big thing for me is it's the off the exercise thing. We're coming up to a decade since I started Dad Bods, which is with mate Bretto. I won Bretto in a radio competition. Sorry, I digress. But I was never spending time with my mates. So and in fact, we interviewed some of my previous mates saying he's a great guy when you see him, but when do you see him?
Yeah.
So we auditioned 4 people to become my new best mate, and Bretto won. I went on play dates with all of them.
So start off as a joke, but then you actually developed this great...
He lived in Kalanga. I said, "Mate, you're there, I'm here. We need to do something together." So we invented this thing, Dad Bods, and a mate, Toby Van, was exploring new apps for exercise. And so Dad Bods, he said, "We'll film different places, we'll go different places, we'll trial different trainings."
Yeah.
I think first was Sri Yoga with Julie Smurden, who did the yoga for all the Australian cricket team. Then there's Orange Theory Fitness with the heart rate stuff. And then Marty O'Connor took us through 12-round boxing, and every week we do a different training at that time. But the big thing was about mateship. And Dad Bods has variously grown to larger and smaller groups and done some amazing things. We were the first synchronised, all-male synchronised swimming team.
That's very funny.
The Dad Bods Dugongs.
Nice.
At the Nationals.
Oh, Dugongs, what a name.
It was, and we fit the name. And,
I like the idea of the name, of what it represents, but has there ever been anyone who's become too fit and you've had to go, "Look, you don't represent our core values anymore"?
usually they've just said, "Guys, you're not really going hard enough." And I'll drop by every now and again if I can.
Yeah.
I'll jog through on my way to my next marathon. "See you, champ." Good to spend time. Yeah. So I know, I do know how to be fit. I know how to eat well, and every now and again I do it. Like the 25 kilos in 25 weeks I lost on radio a couple of years ago.
Yeah, you were telling us about that at Newmarket on Monday night. That was very impressive.
Well, that was all just training for a different charity event each week. Again, radio, community.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd do enough community, so I leaned into that. And so I was able to briefly but focusedly publicise another one of those runs, another one of those swims, another one of those charities every week for 25 weeks.
Yes.
And that's where the boxing came in with Rudy Belmonte, who's out at the Clem Jones Centre. Rudy Belmonte he's a wonderful man. Love people's Rudy B. You never know if he's going to show you the punch or throw you the punch. You're never quite sure. But he took me right down to weight with a lot of boxing. My real sport was running, and I used to be about a 4-minute a K sort of runner.
Yeah, wow.
Back in the day, a while ago. My wife always argues. She said, "Look at your brother, look at your sister. They're all running and doing all this stuff now." And you used to do that. And I said, "Well, yeah, you know who trained them?" Yeah. Then I stopped. But if I get fit again, running's still pretty. It surprises people when I can suddenly run again. It's more as I get too much beer and pies in the way of doing it.
But how good are beer and pies? Can we just have a moment for them? Goosebumps.
Yeah, that's what
Sorry.
this is. I got this giant.
That's probably more of a private moment.
And there's a touch football game that happens on Clump Road. It's been happening since 1979.
Oh, wow.
And there's 15 guys aside. Internationals have played this game, and it goes non-stop for 2 hours. There's fiercely competitive while the ball is in play, and there's no score kept. No one cares. Just score tries.
You're not a competitive person? Like I would be scoring in my head.
No.
And then pretending that I'm not.
These guys are so good. There are guys there who can throw a bullet pass. Sorry, you're blanking out there, aren't you? A bullet pass.
Sounds magical, yeah.
So I can hit a gap. I was a good gap runner, but even if I'm unfit. So I could go and I would hit that gap. And despite the fact that the last 5 times they've passed to me, I've dropped the ball when they've thrown it to me. Doesn't matter. He hit the gap. He knew where it was, and that's where the ball should go. Fushka! And then I'd drop it.
Yeah.
And I say, one day, twice a year I'd catch it. And go, that was pretty good. And I usually catch it, score the try, and go home.
The game's still going, but you're...
Oh, the game's still going, yeah. So I'd like to get fit enough to do that again.
Nice.
Yeah. Is that the football version of a mic drop? The twice a year catch?
It really is. Once I stayed back, and two sets later, I said, stop, guys, I've got to go. I just remembered I'm 60.
Have you got any, say, family sort of goals within the next 5 years?
Yeah, sorry, my goals.
You got grandkids or?
My children will do what my children will do. They're both in theatre, so clearly they won't own a house or have a family.
That's a very healthy attitude, though, to not have.
By virtue of the fact that I'm producing theatre, I will work with a family. Julia's hates it, but she's a good administrator. I really don't enjoy producing, but I'm a good ideas man for giving things context. Our daughter is the main producer for Theatre Works, 2 venues and I have one of the children's shows we're co-producing, and the most frightening thing that can happen is to be called to a production meeting with my daughter. I just go, I'm not ready for any. I think I've got this. Is this all right? What do you think of this idea?
And what has she shut you down in?
She just goes down. I've told you this. Just get it together.
Sure.
So, but you've got to try and stop it. She's so busy. She'll suddenly pick up her laptop and do everything you've tried to achieve for a week.
Sounds perfect.
In a minute. I know. So the family plan and all that, we're all in theatre, and that we might all interact and play. And I've hit a couple of shows. I got asked about one the other day. I went, I can cast that in the family.
Yeah.
Like the Von Trapp.
Nepotism.
the Von Trapp's done in 4. But the true nepotism. Yeah, but
yes,
but they are all very,
talented.
very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about, so I don't know.
Yeah, okay. If you auditioned, yeah, okay.
What about though, like, does it ever make things tense around the house if you spend that much time together at work, or that's probably too personal a question?
No, it's absolutely. My wife, just when I left radio, she just turned around, and I'm such a happy bod to being around the house, and just go, oh, look, it's not personal. It's just.
Bit much.
You're always here. I used to know that. I knew where you were.
That sounds like my wife.
Yeah. You're just always here. So she's got a studio, which is my son's ex-bedroom, and she says that's why she's in there for long periods of time. She is.
I love that your response to that, what she said was, let's collaborate.
Yeah, we should definitely work more together.
Yeah. No, we get up. I get up now at 6 in the morning.
Oh, it's like, what, 3 hours later than the radio day?
Sleep it in, lounge around to 6, and I put a pot of coffee on. She comes out, and we wordle, like a couple of old deers.
That is
at
so
the backyard.
wholesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And trying not to argue, I would have gone that first. I would have gone that one. Okay, fine. Sometimes if we're not sure if it's going to be the next word, we decide who'll type it out to make it their fault, get it wrong. But then we'll meet about who needs a computer, who needs this, who needs it for the day, and pretty much accept that it's more about saying, so I'll leave you alone to do your thing
Yep.
at this time, and you'll leave me alone. Luckily, as a young couple, you know, if someone's having more success or someone in either direction, that's really, really hard, especially on your way up. And I think the fortunate thing about the four of us now, well, you know, Julie's very well established in what she does, and as am I. It hasn't crossed over. But all four of us take sufficiently different slants on the arts and what we're aiming for to not really be comparing one's success to another. And I call us the Gang of Four, apart from, you know, dubious post-communist Chinese references. I think we're a nicer Gang of Four than those four. No, nothing against communism. I don't think. No, I'm an MEAA. I think as a Gang of Four, we're all in a good space to support each other without having to question our personal character.
Nice.
That is such a beautiful wrap up. What a 5-year plan you've got.
And theatre and be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Words to live by.
absolutely.
Terry, this has been excellent. Where can people find you?
My website is terryhanson.com.au.
Excellent. I was actually after your exact address, but never mind.
Terragini.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't know if we want that mentioned.
narrow it down, go if you like. My website, one of the things about being the age that I am, because I turned 64 yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday for
Thank you.
yesterday.
I had a tune to play, it was all right. And
You got a cake? Oh.
yeah, no. But now I've gone completely. What?
Website?
The
Turning
website.
64?
Yeah, I had to really look at my website when I stepped away and said, "Is this going to work? Is it not going to work?" I said, "Well, if it works, I've got a cracking website that covers all that I've ever done. Great retro stuff there. Lots of grabs from radio. About 200 audio grabs. Some of them talking to great comedians like Kevin Hart.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was about to say Louisa Jones and Cody Grimsey, but never mind.
Well, I haven't put this on yet, have I? But yeah, lots of different things like that. And if things didn't work out, it's a cracking pool room.
Yeah.
It's a really good pool room. There you go. And then one year I'll be sent a bill for keeping the pool room running. I go, it's time to unplug the pool room.
What a pool room, though.
And keep them in specially coloured files, red for comedy, blue for theatre, green for sporting activities, and black for just
That's a good
business.
way of learning. If you've spent more time with something, you ran out of red ink.
That's it. And if you're looking at a diary and you're laying it out in your planner and you are working various things, and this was the first way it happened, I go, man, I've got to write more gags. I've got to write more gags. I've got to write more gags. But I look at my plan and go, no, I don't. It's like 6 weeks till I've got a block of gigs. That's just not the time. Yeah, yes, I do. But in this 6 weeks, I'm supposed to be writing a children's show. That's where my focus needs to be, over here in the blue, not out there in the red.
Yeah.
How nerdy was that?
Yeah, it's cool.
But
It's
so
exciting.
clever.
It's inspiring.
Yeah, to be able to at a glance know exactly how your week's going and whether it's going the colour it should be.
Yeah, and if it's all written in black pen, you're making no money whatsoever.
That's why I haven't.
That's good to know.
Thank you so much, Terry, for coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Heath, for your indulgences. I hope there was some clarity in there from me somewhere.
So much to learn from. So much the viewers at home and listeners at home can take from this, I think.
Thank
First
you for
of all,
joining.
Yeah. Go buy yourself one of those 4-colour pens and
The rest,
hit your goals.
Money in the bank.
Yeah, very good. See you next time.